We are only human, which is inconvenient when someone seems to remember every day of her life. It sounds like magic until you realize forgetting is also a survival tool. Jill Price did not train for this ability, build a system, or stack flashcards like a competitive memory athlete with a very intense hobby. Her memory arrived more like a radio that would not turn off, pulling her backward into ordinary Tuesdays, arguments, songs, school days, and grief. Scientists would first know her by the initials AJ, because before Jill Price became famous, she was a mystery asking for help. In 2000, she sent an email to UC Irvine memory researcher James McGaugh describing a mind that felt nonstop, uncontrollable, and exhausting. Give Jill a date from much of her adult life, and she could often tell you the weekday, what she did, and what was happening around her.
That sounds like a superpower, but her own description was closer to being trapped in a theater where the projector keeps changing reels. A date on television, a song on the radio, or a passing remark could yank her into a specific day before she had chosen to visit it. For most of us, memory is a messy attic. For Jill, the attic occasionally kicked open its own door and started handing her boxes. Her childhood had already made time feel sharp, especially after her family moved from the East Coast to Southern California when she was young. By adolescence, dates began attaching themselves to scenes with unusual force, and the past stopped behaving like something politely behind her. She kept diaries for years, which later became important, because scientists are understandably picky when someone says their memory breaks the usual rules.
At UC Irvine, Elizabeth Parker, Larry Cahill, and James McGaugh tested her with calendars, public events, personal records, and standardized memory tasks. The striking part was not that she could memorize random lists better than everyone else, because often she could not. What mattered most was autobiographical memory, her own life, her own days, her own emotional weather, arranged with almost frightening access. Ask about a date, and she did not seem to calculate. She seemed to land there, as if her mind already had the ticket. Researchers checked public events against records, compared personal memories with her diaries, and found enough consistency to publish the case in 2006. In that neurocase paper, she was still AJ, and the team proposed the label hyperthymistic syndrome, from a Greek root for remembering.
Later, the phenomenon became better known as highly superior autobiographical memory, or HSAM, which sounds clinical enough to fit on a grant application. But the cleaner scientific name did not make the daily experience simple, because being accurate about yesterday does not mean being free from it. Jill could remember joyful moments vividly, but painful moments also returned, with the emotional volume turned up and the remote apparently missing. This is where the fantasy cracks. A perfect memory is not just birthdays, vacations, and winning arguments from 1997 with documentary evidence. It can also mean embarrassment with fresh lighting, loss with a known date, and old anger waiting patiently like it paid rent.
And HSAM is not photographic memory, not universal genius, and not a cheat code for every exam, phone number, or misplaced set of keys. People with HSAM can still make mistakes, and later research even showed that superior autobiographical memory does not make anyone immune to false memories. That matters, because memory is not a hard drive. It is a living system, and living systems are powerful partly because they change. In 2008, Jill Price told her story publicly in the memoir The Woman Who Can't Forget, written with Bart Davis. The title made the hook obvious, but the deeper story was not spectacle. It was a person trying to live with a past that kept arriving.
After her case became public, other people contacted researchers, convinced that their minds might work the same impossible way. UCI scientists found more individuals with similar abilities, but the group stayed tiny, which is rude of reality after giving documentary producers such a good premise.
The science moved from one extraordinary case toward a broader question. Why do some minds hold personal time so tightly, while others let it loosen? Researchers studied brain structure, calendar knowledge, public event recall, obsessive traits, and the strange border between remembering and reliving. No single explanation has solved it, and that is probably the honest answer, because brains rarely agree to be neat just for our convenience. Jill Price's story became famous because she remembered, but it remains powerful because it asks what forgetting does for the rest of us. Forgetting is not only failure, sometimes it is mercy, editing, emotional distance, and the private permission to become someone new.
Jill did not become a human archive because life was easy to store. She became a reminder that memory is identity, forgetting is freedom. And yes, having a delete button may be one of our more oddly human design features.